Hello everyone, my name is Nompumelelo Moyo. However, most people call me Lelo because it's easier to say, or Star. So you can call me whichever way you want. I'm cool with either or. So I am from South Africa, but I am currently living in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Wow. So I have really battled with finding joy from things that come basically from inside of me. I think growing up I focused so much on getting joy or attaining happiness from outside sources. So one of the things that really bring me joy now is just self-isolating, detaching myself, and just really checking in on myself. I really pride myself on my mental health, and making sure that I'm okay. So I find joy in really reconnecting with myself, reconnecting to parts of myself that I've abandoned, and doing things that make me happy. Sitting in my room, reading, drawing, writing or completing my stories, writing letters to God. All of those things just bring me joy. Okay, so personal growth and development. I am very obsessed with my personal growth and development, and I think it comes from years of not being obsessed with doing it. So I'm in a stage or state where almost every day I focus my energy and attention on developing something about myself, whether it's a weakness that I feel that I have or something that I lack. I work on ways to develop that because I feel like life is about growth. And there's a thing or quote that I said in a blog of mine that in life there are some levels that will remain locked until you unlock levels of yourself. So I'm obsessed with unlocking those levels in order to reach the levels of my life that I want to get to. Right. So I am an advocate. Wow, yes, I am a huge mental health advocate, and my thought on mental health is that it really is so important, a lot important. I think mental health is one thing that affects a lot of us, specifically us young people, and I'm really happy to see that there's so many people addressing mental health issues and raising mental awareness, because we do need a lot of light to be shined on that specifically. If someone is able to ensure that mentally they're healthy and mentally you're okay, then all aspects of your life are okay. Because if you're being honest, our thoughts affect our behavior, and our behavior affects our habits and things that we do. So mental health is very important. You cannot downplay mental health in any way. Mental health affects me in every way. The first way is through my career. So my first career, what I aspired to be a psychologist, and I have a degree in psychology actually. However, I'm working in teaching, but I found being a nurturer and a teacher to really be draining on my mental health itself, but it's also taught me a lot about mental health and mental awareness, and also about psychology. So mental health plays a huge part in my life because I'm someone who has to ensure that I am in an equilibrium. And if I'm not in an equilibrium, that's mean that mentally and holistically there's something that is wrong. Or not holistically there's something wrong. Look at that, I just created a word. So sorry. I just went ahead and created my own word. But yeah, definitely. So it is so important for me to be working and operating holistically. However, it all starts with my whole mind, my soul, my body, and my health being in equilibrium. And I feel like the first indicator of the fact that I'm not in an equilibrium would be my mental health. So everything I do is affected by my mental health, and that's why I constantly check in with myself. That's why I constantly detach, isolate myself, just to ensure that I'm breathing, that I'm okay, that I'm centered. Right. So when I look at old habits, I always think of childhood trauma. And this is something that I've shared a lot with a lot of my mentees, with a lot of my friends, on how it's so important to go back and look at how your childhood has affected you, and how any trauma or generational traumas that have been passed on to you have not really coerced you into certain behaviors or actually hindered you from achieving certain things. So I think it's very important to reevaluate your old habits and then decide if they serve you. And if they no longer serve you, you have to find something else that will serve you or serve where you want to go. So looking at this statement or looking at this question, I believe to an extent that old habits need to be broken in order for you to move forward, because there's so many old habits that do nothing for us but to stunt our growth. So it's very important to, again, check in. Does this habit, does this thing that I do really serve, support where I want to go? Or is it stopping my journey? And I had to do that a lot, because there was a lot of old habits that were just not serving me in any way, or not serving my journey, or not serving my own growth. And I think it is very important as a person to ensure that your old habits are not stunting your own growth, because sometimes other people are not the villains in your life, but you are. So it's very important to just constantly check in, reevaluate your habits, and also assimilate new ones as well. Life is about growth at the end of the day. I definitely make time for self-care. Maybe sometimes I do it late because of my busy schedule, but I definitely do make time for my own self-care. And I think now that I live alone and I live abroad and my family is far, far, far away, it's very important for me to have that one-to-one with myself, to have that one-to-one with God. God is part of my self-care. So it is a need for me to have that time to myself. Maybe sometimes it would be a whole day, maybe other times it will be 5 minutes, but I definitely need to constantly make time for my self-care. Living my authentic truth. Let me tell you that. It might not be according to my own wishes or came in the way that I expected it. But one thing about God, He gives you more than you expected. So I am living my authentic truth, because if we look just at the word authentic, it makes me think about myself. Am I being true to who I am? And I feel like I am at that stage where I am being true to who I am. So I am living my authentic truth, because every part of my life right now allows me to be true to me, to be true to the person that I am. And maybe sometimes I'd feel embarrassed about being myself, or I'll feel stressed out, but every day provides me with an opportunity to check in, to remind myself that it's okay to be you, it's okay to be me. I'm a cool person. It's all good. I love this question. Yes, I definitely feel like my life has a purpose. And I've always felt like that since I was a kid. I've always felt like there was an assignment that I had to complete. And maybe when I was growing up, I didn't understand what the assignment was. But the more I grew up and got into the field of psychology, I realized that, there is an assignment or purpose for me, and I have to achieve that. And now looking at where I am, I'm doing something I never imagined that I do, but I think that God is guiding me towards the purpose, or towards fulfilling the purpose or my purpose for my own life. I just really see myself as a light, and I think that's one of the things that pulled me towards this life of being an advocate, because I've always wanted to spread light, to spread positivity and spread love. So that's why I definitely say my life has a purpose. And even now, as a nurturer, I might not be doing what I wanted to do, but I'm able to spread light to my children, to spread that positivity, that love, and to nurture their minds, and to be that educator that probably I didn't have when I was growing up. So if you look at the suicide mortality rate in Mississippi, I think we're having a lot of suicide deaths, or just suicides in general, because there is a decline as well when it comes to mental health, specifically in the youth. I know in South Africa we experienced a high mortality rate when it came to suicide in men. I think in 2021 and 2020, and this shows me that as much as there is people or platforms coming out to talk about mental health and raising awareness for mental health, there is still not enough assistance for mental health, because in SA, for example, there is a toll line that you're supposed to call, but there isn't enough help provided for people who suffer from mental health issues. And another thing that we need to remember is that it's not really easy to identify someone who has a mental illness or who's going through some sort of mental disorder. It isn't easy unless someone opens up to you about it. So some of these platforms that seek to provide awareness on mental health, they make it seem as if it is easy for one to identify someone with mental health. And I think one way that we can again ensure that people are aware of mental health issues more than what we've already done is to include mental health in school, to include some lessons or a course in mental health in schools and university, to ensure that this is something that we now become accustomed to knowing, to learning about, so that it moves from being something foreign, Definitely the relationships in my life affect the person that I am. I am someone who's very independent, but I'm also very people-centered, or let me say family-orientated. So all of the relationships around me affect my life or affect who I am, because I'm pouring into these relationships and I'm pouring a part of myself. So if you're being honest, they have to serve me in some way or the other, and I have to serve that person in some way or the other. There's a friend of mine who constantly tells me that, when he looks at the relationships with the people that he has in his life, he always thinks to himself, how is this person going to help me become the person that I want to be? And how does this person push me to become that person? And how does this person force me to grow? There's a saying that says you are a product of your environment, but also your environment has the power and potential to either stunt your growth or be the fertilizer that enhances your growth. So definitely I would say the relationships that I have affect the person that I am, but also affect the person that I want to be and where I want to be in life. So yes, I think it's definitely important to monitor trends of suicide among specific sex, genders, ethnicities, because there is a lot of deaths, to be honest, that are affecting young people or are a result of suicide. And I think for so long, suicide rates or suicide mortality rates were overlooked. And I think it's about time that we begin to monitor these trends, because they do provide an outlook on how prominent mental health issues are today. And it can also help us to investigate, to find ways in which we can curb such deaths, to see what are the causes of suicide. I mean, we are finding out more information or trying to unearth more causes around suicide. But psychology, is a practice that is ongoing because life is not absolute, it is continuous. So it is only fair that there are a lot of issues that are continuing that still need to be investigated. And I think it's very important to continue again to monitor these trends because it gives us a guideline, to see what work still needs to be done, what work still needs to be evaluated when it comes to mental health. Mental health is key. And if we can honestly seek new ways or interventions in aiding with great mental health tactics,